well, you know, the bad thing about it was painted the face black. I'm saying, no, there were worse things that came with it. There were all these negatives that came with it that were pushed and stapled onto people that are still on people today. So when you fast forward to today, right, there's a problem that, so what would you say the negative stereotypes for Black America is? The negative stereotypes. And C-Love, you can say too, because I know she probably has phone calls to take and stuff, so I don't want to disrupt her work or anything. What would you say negative stereotypes for Black
loud, ghetto.
Okay. Well, describe ghetto. Describe what that means.
Loud for women, aggressive.
Okay.
The black. What is it? The angry Black woman complex. Like.
Okay. Yeah. 100%. You got Jim Crow. You got not even a generation ago. You got all the way century and this century stapled on by white people, right? Now, right? And this is the part where people are on board with me 100% until this part. Now, you've got Black America saying, hey, I'm going to make a movie. And the movie is going to be so funny because it's so true. And the movie's going to be about a fat, overweight, loud, obnoxious Black lady. And it's going to sell it's not going to be popular to white people. It's going to be popular to Black people. And so in today's world, sadly, the white people don't even have to put the stereotypes on Black people anymore. Now, you've got channels like Black Entertainment Television, which is technically owned by a white person now, that has their award shows and will celebrate people who say, I am this. I am a thug. I am dangerous. I am loud. I am obnoxious. I am all these things, and that's my culture.
But you just said the key thing. It's owned by a white person. If white people are funding it, they control the narrative and the creative control.
You're right. But here's the thing. You've got people. So now when a Black person decides to step out of that, what do Black people say? Oh, you act white. You sound white. You do this. You do that. And that's a problem. So now at this point, white people don't even have to do it. Now we're at a point where, oh, you vote this way. You do this. You do that. You think differently than what we're stereotyped to do. You are no longer Black. That
you ain't Black, you don't vote
is self-destructive.
But that's not new. People have been called Uncle Tom since slavery.
That is self-destructive because when you take positive things, like, oh, I know how to speak properly. I know how to use proper English. Mm-hmm. I know how to, I make good grades. Mm-hmm. I don't like listening to music that's just about drugs and killing and drugs and killing and drugs and killing. I don't know the names of those artists that do that. Mm-hmm. Guess what? In other Black people's eyes, you're not Black.
It's both now. We've gotten to a point to where, yes, we are still unfortunately bashing one another and taking away, revoking people's Black card for not falling under the stereotypes or, like, again, learned behaviors. You know what I mean? Like, we see it all the time. I have a split. I know what it's like to grow up in the hood.
Bruce just said, who's mad at Tyler Perry? Nobody. People applaud him. Him. He makes the cover of Ebony magazine and all these kind of things. He's doing such a great job. And I'm not bashing him. I'm not saying he's not a great guy. I don't know.
It's more than Tyler Perry doing those stereotypical movies.
But I mean, Madea, let's just say Madea, like that is literally making fun of a stereotypical Black woman, and Black people are buying the movies. Black people are watching it, laughing at it, and then saying, Tyler Perry, you're doing such a great job. And then, hear me out. And then when a white guy comes across a Black woman, he's like, oh, I've seen that in the movies. And then in the movies, when people are watching it, they're like, oh, that's just like Auntie so-and-so. That's just like so-and-so. And then the white guy's like, oh, I don't know. I guess they say that's like Auntie Saw. Okay, well, I don't want to be with someone like Medea.
Because it's a two-way street. I agree with you about the stereotypes and continuing to push the narrative, like to push the line to show that we are beyond this. But let's not act like stereotypes have been created in this negative light, taking away the reality of this is representation. People do live in the hood. That is Auntie So-and-so. Like that ghetto, like, hold on, the ghetto loud narrative and all this and that, whatever. That has been, again, going back to, it was projected as negative and this and that. People, if the girl is loud and that's culture and then that's their upbringing and this is that, whatever, hear me out.
Not positive.
It's not positive because if it's not appealing to us.
No, it's not appealing to anyone. Even the Bible says that a woman who can't control, a person who can't control their mouth and a woman who has no common sense.
You're talking about it from a pure, like as if she's going off again. The negative, the angry black woman thing. If you have personalities all across the board that grew up, and if they're just loud and boisterous, what if that same girl that is just loud and she's just now, it can come off as annoying and ghetto, whatever. What if she is valedictorian? What if she is straight A's? What if she is in a scholar? Like, just because people's personality.
What does that have to do? What does that have to do with it? Just because, but that's like this. That's like this. Let's say your son is going in for a job interview, right, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna wear my sweatshirt, and then I'm gonna wear a sweatshirt, some gym shorts, and some Sperry's. I'm gonna walk in there. What are you gonna tell him?"
I can't digest your example because you know that you're going off of pure day-to-day comfort based off of differentiating between knowing when and where. We know that there's a time to turn it on and turn because
right,
if
that's the same thing.
I have the family members and the friends that are the loud girls in this and that, but they're not messy, they're not rude. They're just loud because that's just a part of their personality. They're loud this and that.
Hey guys, wait, hold on, really quick, guys. Share the live. If you like the live, share the live. Okay,
this is great. I'm not even gonna lie. This is great.
Go ahead. Hey, just so you know, Bree, just so you know.
This is great.
Because a lot of people, you don't know me. We don't know each other, right? But I just want to let you know, in these conversations, I'm not in no way, shape, or form. If I disagree with you, I'll disagree. I'll shoot down the argument, but I'm not shooting at you. I just want to let you know.
I don't think.
Okay,
so.
cool.
Like,
where are you from?
Yeah.
You're from New York?
Me?
Yeah. Where are you from?
No.
Northeast, right? Oh, California. Okay, maybe. Yes, I thought you were from New York.
What was that? What was the side eye?
I was gonna say you guys have a little softer skin over there, but I don't know. Okay, go ahead.
No, well, not me, but
okay, cool.
Let me, because I feel like I can go on a tent. Let me try to like make points.
Yeah, go ahead.
All I'm trying to say, the only thing I'm trying to convey is that because I'm so like hell bent, yes, on progression, I agree with you. I do want us to, it's just like, okay, from the 90s, 80s, like all this and that, the movies, blah, blah, okay, it worked, good. And I think that we're at a place where even people in the industry, artists are like, cool, great. That was already been said and done. Like now we're at a place where there's more to our story. Like the Black experience is beyond what we've seen, right, and what's been told. But all I'm saying is, I don't want to, not saying that you were, I don't want to ever disregard or dismantle or bash like the Tyler Perrys, the Martins, the Jamie Foxxes, like Shanae, like all of these things, because like I know those girls. I hold those girls near and dear to my heart. They get such a bad rap. Even the dude, like I have the hood family members, the dudes, the guys that are labeled as thugs and this and that. But because you have to understand, unforeseen circumstances, uncontrollable environments from where they live, and things that are not, by choice, right? Like if you're born into something, your environment, your neighborhood, like you're not just your personality doesn't mean that you're a product of your environment. Like like I said, I have the loud homegirls that are friends, family, whatever.
Okay,
but they're also doctors, accountants, lawyers. Like I have
so they had someone that was willing to say, hey, I'll hire you anyway. Because I'll hire you anyway.
It's not anyway. That's the insult right there.
It's not an insult though. Because I'll give you an example. Right? Like in the same way, let's say you've got a restaurant, Okay, you've got two restaurants. One restaurant is called Restaurant A. The other one's Restaurant B. Restaurant A serves the best food in town. That food is amazing, right? That food is amazing, but it's in a shed. The door's kind of falling off the hinges a little bit. The wood is kind of rickety, and the windows are all sideways and stuff. And it looks like there's a leak in the roof. Then you've got Restaurant B that serves okay food, and they've got it all. They've got the glass, big glass window. Everything looks pristine and clean. Most people, regardless of whether Restaurant A has great food or not, most people are going to be repulsed by going in there to find out, because we naturally, our brain works on patterns because we don't want to waste time. We don't want to say, we don't want to say, oh, well, I'm going to look at every single thing. Maybe this time that sound in the bushes at night, maybe it's not a lion this time. Maybe it's a bunny and I'll have a pet. Maybe that guy just ate a bad berry and that's why he died. If the brain, I agree that in a perfect world where our brain does not work on patterns and it works totally differently, then yeah. And I agree 100% that people should challenge some of the stereotypes that they come across. I agree with that. But your brain working that way is what keeps you safe. For example, okay, I was at a gas station downtown, right? And I was actually on the phone with BFin06. BFin06. I was on the phone with him at a gas station. This like old school Cadillac with the candy paint and the big rims pulls up on the other side of the gas pump.
Not the candy.
I'm filling up my gas. It's nighttime. I'm filling up my gas. The guy looks at me. I look at him. Kind of give him one of the nods. He gives me one back, and then I look, and he pulls a gun off of the seat of his car, in the driver's seat, pulls a gun up, just unholstered, just grabs a gun, and doesn't see that I saw that he grabbed the gun, puts it down in his pants, and then he's walking around. By that time, I already took off. I was already gone. I'm not about to take the chance. My brain, I'm saying, I'm listening to the patterns. I've seen this one play out with people. I'm not going to say, maybe he just, forgot his holster and he's just coming to ask me for some change or something. I'm not taking that chance. I told my wife, same thing. If you're in that situation, don't worry about, because she's white. I tell her, don't worry about the stereotype. Whatever. I'd rather you be alive. And the people say, oh, why'd you run away from him? I'd rather you be alive.
And I'm not saying that you're wrong, but we also know that
your brain works
on
about
patterns.
So
the patterns don't apply when the white kid in khakis comes with just his regular backpack and his Doc Martin shoes or blah, blah, blah. And then he walks into the black church and shoots up all the black people. Let's not act like...
If I say school shooter, what color comes to your mind?
White.
Exactly. Because it's a pattern. That's the point I'm making.
But this is my point.
That's
this
the
is
point.
my point.
When you see a pattern, listen.
I just said I didn't disagree with you. All I'm saying is, when you said the restaurant theory, right? You said they're probably going to be repulsed because when we talked about the other one, it doesn't matter how great the food is. The reason why I have a problem with it is because, going back to the original example at hand, when you have these men and women that grow up in these environments and in these neighborhoods and that are stereotyped and only put into this negative connotation, negative experience, negative thought process, taken completely away from the whole person in general, overall person, you take away from all of the greatness that can come with that person. And it's all negative and bad and run away and, oh my God, they're going to run, all this and that. But when it comes to industry, making money, cultural appropriation, it's all fine and dandy. When you want to listen to our music, when you want to dress like us, when you want to do your hair like us, like all that stuff, that's what I'm saying. It's always great when they want to strip the culture and profit off of it, but then you want to take the people and put them into the gutter and just.
But no one in white America. Well, I can't say no one, but most people in white America are not telling their kids, "Hey, dress like the guy from downtown when you go to your job interview."
They don't have to tell them because the kids are doing it on their own.
No, they tell them not to when they go to these interviews and things like that. If you want to be seen a certain way, look. So let me ask you.
You're a man of facts. I love that you will literally go and Google. I'm like, oh my God, this is like one of my favorite things.
I like Bing. I like Bing better than Google.
Who profit? Then bring it up.
Yeah.
Who profits? Who profits? Who is the main the main ones to make it a profitable industry? The reason why the hip hop industry is a $1 billion industry because majority of white people are buying the music. They don't have to tell their kids. My point exactly.
The parents are telling them not to do it. So
they can tell them not to until they're blue in the face. So are they not still doing it?
Yeah, the kids are doing it, of course. That's what I'm saying. The parents realize, hey, everyone recognizes this pattern. I don't want you to fall into this pattern to where people think you are like this. That's the whole point I'm making.
But when the white kids do it, it's all fine and dandy.
It's not fine and dandy. If a white kid shows up to a job interview and he's wearing a do-rag, even though he doesn't need one, he's wearing a do-rag and he's wearing like a Iverson jersey.
Let's talk about it. There's only two positions.
Wait, hold on.
The white kid, if he shows up and if both the black kids, I'm going to steal your example. If the white, let's say if it's only two positions, if the white kid shows up in the do-rag, the baggy pants and this and that, whatever, and if the black guy shows up in a suit and tie and everything, the white kid still has a better odd of getting the job.
I guarantee.
I don't think so.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I don't think so.
Have you heard of affirmative action? Do you know how many industries and big corporations go to schools like Tuskegee's, Black HBCUs because they have to make a quota of a certain diversity.
And if they already have their token black person,
so I guarantee you they are not going to choose. They're not going to choose the white guy that's like, "What's up?" And then the black guy that shows up, buttoned down, looking professional, knows what he's doing. They're not going to choose that guy over him. And if they do, guess what? Their company is going to go down.
No, their company, they already have their token black person. That's why.
Yeah, but they're not. At least they're going to have someone that does the job right. You're right. Sometimes they pick the black person over the white guy that may be more qualified just because he's black. But what I'm saying is that my whole point. Let's reel it back in because we kind of got off. We kind of got off topic. My whole point is this. Right. I know how the world should be and the world could be, right? I know that everyone should go into that restaurant to see what food do they really have because I may be judging it too soon. I know that I agree that everyone should do that. 100%. 100%. The only problem is I know that the world won't. Even in the Bible, this is before any sort of Atlantic slave trade or black, white, American capitalism, take it down. Before any of that, Samuel said to David and all of his brothers, he said, man sees on the outside, God sees what's on the inside, right? So if I know that man sees what's on the outside, then if I'm going to try to present myself to men for something, especially when it comes to dating, men or women, why would I present myself and allow myself to fall into a stereotype that is negative and to promote it and to say that's me and then get mad when someone's like, okay, well, I don't want you. That's my whole point. And so my only advice is, hey, if I know that's a pattern, if I recognize that's a pattern and people react that way to that pattern, I'm going to say, hey, maybe this isn't how the world should be, right? Maybe they should do this, but I know this is how the world is. So I'm not going to tell my son or my daughter, hey, do it anyway. If they don't, I'm not going to put them in that situation. I guarantee you.
I don't think that we should, but we are also called to be made in, are we not made in Christ's image? So therefore, if we're to be Christ-like, we're supposed to be able to try to tap into the internal. I agree with you. We're not supposed to just basically be ignorant and throw ourselves into the wolves den. I agree with you. We have to exercise wisdom. Completely agree with that. All I'm saying is, you said that if we lived in the perfect world, I can understand, but you know what? The world's never going to be perfect, but we're perfectly made in his image. So it is our job. It is our due diligence as believers, especially for those who are ignorant and move in a certain way, or if they're just not believers at all. I don't want to call people that are not believers ignorant, but I feel like we have you know how when you come into your faith. Like it's like you're crawling, and it's like it's a process, right? You can start crawling, take steps, baby step, you walking. I feel like you get to a point in your walk where you just have certain responsibilities. Yes, I completely wholeheartedly agree with you. But I feel like when you're at least what I could imagine with some like-minded individuals right now, when you get to a certain place, our heart posture is a little bit more advanced, a little bit more developed. So it takes go back to your example with your wife. That is being a secure, protective husband. By no means should you, I think that advice that you give her is completely accurate. But let's say yourself, right? Minus the gas station situation, because I think you did the right thing. But if it's just a casual,
I know I did.
let's say something casual, right? Let's say a friend of a friend is being introduced to you, and they're not your usual cup of tea, right? I feel like it's on us to be a little bit more open-minded, a little bit extend more grace, just because it's something that
I was talking to the comment. Sorry.
Just because it's something that's out of our norm or something that we're not used to, or if it's not our cup of tea, our cup of coffee, doesn't mean that we should be dismissive right away, right? Like I think that we owe it to these people, right, to the world as members of the body, to extend that grace and to be open-minded. By no means to conform or to compromise ourselves, but to at least just extend grace. Everybody deserves grace, no matter what the circumstance, right? As long as you're not being put in harm's way, as long as nobody's trying to come at you or for you, right? All I'm saying is we just need to extend more grace.
I agree.
I agree with that too.
The only thing that I have trouble with is the fact that the brain works a certain way.
Yeah.
Like the brain works off of patterns. And if I see someone that is loud, obnoxious, doesn't know how to act in public.
But does your spirit not supersede your brain? Is your spirit not mightier than your brain? You are spirit first. Your brain is a part of flesh. So your spirit, you should be at a point where, no, I take that back. I want to stay in my lane. I don't want to overstep.
No, go
ahead. We would want to get to a point to where our spirit is moving before our flesh, right? I get the patterns. That's why I continue to say and be mindful of my words. I'm trying to be very selective. I hear you and I agree with you. But that's why I gave the subtle example of, hey, say you're with the guys, right? Chilling, cool, great. It's the regular fellas. But then maybe somebody brings in a new person, right? Yeah. Boom, immediately off of, let's just say, I don't want to go into detail. Let's just say they automatically are like the opposite of what we're all used to, right?
In terms of what?
Guy.
In terms of what?
Just like, let's just say they're not the typical person that you would find yourself befriending, whether it's the way they look.
Okay, go ahead.
They're just not, that they're not somebody that you would put in your normal group. You know what I mean? Maybe they dress a certain, maybe they come off as negative stereotypes that you would want to ideally not mingle with. What I'm saying is, judging a book by its cover, not giving somebody a chance, that is where the grace is supposed to be extended, right? Because let's talk about church.
Okay.
What if we shunned and pushed away everybody? I saw this when I was 11 years old, and when I was in church. This is 2 years before I went to my home church now that I've been ever since. This woman came in with a raunchy out, she looked like she had probably just came from one of the she came something, right? She came into the church. She sat in the back, and I knew off the back she just wanted to be in the church, right? I saw one of the women ridicule her, come and immediately bring one of the prayer cloths, and not out of love, not out of, you don't know what a prayer cloth is? If a woman's skirt.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. A prayer cloth that's old school.
Like extra clothes. Yeah.
It's just to cover a woman's, you need to cover your knees or something. So anyways, point being, church is not for the perfect, prim and right? Pristine and whatever.
Right.
Church is for the sick, for the broken, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. I'm not saying that we are called to extend grace. I'm not saying that we need to like everybody. I'm not saying that we need to befriend and blah, blah, blah. But when we're talking about love is God, extending grace in the body and this and that, could you imagine how much of a hindrance we would be to God's will and to the body and to the work that we're supposed to be called to do if we just rejected everyone based off of like what we see and what we're not and patterns.
I agree. Got you. I agree. You've made your point, and I agree with it 100%. The only difference is this. You said don't judge, but use your spirit, not your mind. Your spirit over your mind, right? And when I look at the word, when I read the word, and the word tells me what to not look for in a wife and what to look for in a wife. It says someone, oh, go ahead. It says someone that is unruly and loud and wants to argue and is combative.
It's not
That's
good.
not a look. That is an attitude. That is an action. That's a heart posture. Someone has that. If I'm following my spirit, regardless of how they look or if they're a valedictorian or whatever, I should be like, hey, the word says this wouldn't make a good wife, so I'm going to walk away from it. I'm not talking about just the look. I'm talking about if we are telling men and women that, hey, this negative trait, we can't call it not negative just because a certain group of people have been doing it now, and it's kind of considered our culture or whatever. I don't think that is a culture thing. I think that is purely an unwise thing and something to make people feel better that, hey, yeah, if I'm reading the book of Proverbs, those attitudes that you expressed, the loud, proud, blah, 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 whatever, the Bible calls that a fool.
Mm.
And so, especially when it's coming to dating, I'm not saying you kick them out of the church, you don't teach. I'm not saying that, but we're talking about dating. If someone has those characteristics, because that's what those are, characteristics, then I would always advise a guy, you do not want to marry that because God says you shouldn't want to marry that.
All right.
That's a good point.
And no, those characteristics are considered bad regardless of race. White, black, Hispanic, doesn't matter.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Exactly. Those characteristics are considered bad regardless of race. The only negative thing is there is only one group that, for whatever reason, whether it's white people's fault or this people, some sort of indoctrination, there's only one group that considers that's just a positive trait that we have. That's not a positive trait for anybody.
No.
And so when we're talking about the Madea movies and things like that, we can't just say, well, that is like Auntie so-and-so. Well, then Auntie so-and-so needs to change because those aren't good traits. And
are we talking about, I want to be specific because we're talking about like the things that we wouldn't want to promote to like our loved ones or our children, like smoking and drinking and like belligerent behavior and like, aggressive, like fight, like things like that of that nature, right?
I'm talking about Madea. Let's say Madea. Everything she is. If you've seen any of the movies, Madea
is also a loving grandmother, auntie, and this and that. Like we have to know the balance.
Madea, go ahead. You've seen more movies than anybody. Go ahead.
I've seen every single Madea movie.
But let me ask you this: do you think Madea is desirable to a man?
No.
Do you think that let's just say the guy that wrote the book of Proverbs or different parts of the book of Proverbs, he's talking about the type of wife you do not want. If he saw Madea, would he say, oh, when I meant quarrelsome, I just meant, just not all the time. I mean, she does it only 90% of the time. That's fine.
No, I absolutely don't.
That's
think
100%.
She's
100% quarrelsome.
Learn behaviors, generational. Like, let's not overlook the work that is still being done. A lot of people don't have this being taught to them. I just want to point that out.
Exactly. I agree. And so the problem is this. When you realize and then you cannot say, oh, well, hey, that's just our culture. I'll let you go along with it. Because, for example, right? Yeah. And you said you have friends. I'm not, like I said, you've been on here once before, maybe twice before. And I love when you come on because you've got great points and everything. But you said that you have friends that act that way. And then those friends, you're like, that's just who they are. I love them and they're great. And I would never tell them to change. And
But that's a gray area. I specified. I said I have the friends that are more like colorful, loud. Like they're very much
you didn't say
more
colorful
like.
before. You said
I
loud.
said loud personality. Like yes, they're loud.
You said
But at the
ghetto.
end of, no, I said that I hate when people use the word ghetto. Because first of all, are we let's
Okay,
pick a
let's
day when
not
we're
go
gonna
down.
get
Let's
to
not go down
the
those
Jewish
rabbit hole.
camp.
Let's not go. Let's
Right.
ratchet, whatever. You said
Right.
you have friends that are like that.
But I didn't say ratchet because for me, ratchet is so like this is a problem. We have so many different labels and definitions for that. I'm talking about my friends that
Okay.
I know, and even me. If I'm caught in the middle of laughing, or especially when you're with your girls, like my thing is, I just feel like there are snapshots of moments of a person's personality that just stamp them in this negative light. And I just said that these same women, I can pull up I'm not going to do this. I'm being dramatic, but I can tag 5 women right now that would be labeled ghetto because of being loud. And like I said, for me, it is colorful. Like they're like overly like extra bubbly in my opinion, but it's labeled as ghetto. But these are women who are attorneys. These are women who are in doctorate programs.
Okay.
These are women who
Medea's personality.
I don't
Would
have
you
any
call that
people
colorful?
that have Medea's personality.
Okay, so you don't have any friends like that. So you don't have any
No.
friends that act like Medea. We're talking about the Medea personality. I'm not talking about someone that's like, oh yeah, that like pleasant to be around. I'm not talking about someone that's pleasant to be around, agreeable, kind, and then it's like, oh, they talk a little. Oh, sorry, I'm too loud. I'm talking about somebody that
who's crazy.
when we talk about
Loud, I don't care.
someone
people.
someone that acts as if they don't know how to act in public. And
Yeah.
the problem that I see is that, and like I said, it's a problem that I want us to fix. It's not, I'm not doing a whole Kevin Samuels thing or who, I don't want to bash him, whatever. I'm not doing what people view as the Kevin Samuels approach where it's like, you point out the problems and then you say, well, yeah, whatever, fix it. I'm trying to say what I think the solution is too. But the problem is people don't like to hear the solution because the solution comes with some responsibility that is not, I can just blame someone else for all these problems. So, you know, I just think that, C-Love, what are you looking at?
Like the comments.
You were laughing at something. Oh, okay. Well, I don't see.
I wasn't laughing.
What is the solution? Okay. Here's what I think the solution is, right? So I think the solution is, and solutions are never going to be easy, but I think the solution is we need to stop saying these negative characteristics is our culture. We need to stop saying, dumb, I don't know how to speak. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't swim. I can't this. I can't that because I'm this color. That's what Jim Crow and slave, that's what those people put into your mind. And now we've gotten to a point where we're saying, I can't do this because I'm this, I'm that, I'm black, I don't do this, I can't do that. And so those are all negative things. So I think the solution is, as uncomfortable as it may be, we got to say, hey, these negative stereotypes were put on people, right? But now that we realize that, we got to say, look, those stereotypes, regardless if that's how my grandma acted or my aunt acted or my dad acted or my uncle or whoever, we got to say, okay, now those stereotypes I'm not going to entertain anymore. I'm not going to say, hey, I'm going to watch the Tyler Perrys. I'm not going to watch that. Imagine if a white guy made Tyler Perry. If a white guy made it Tyler Perry, that's such a negative thing because he's making fun of and he's creating a negative stereotype. That's the same thing that's going on in a Madea movie. And so we got to say, okay, that is not okay. And when I see people acting that way, I'm not going to say, oh, they're just black, so that's fine. That's just how we act. No, I'm going to say, hey, you don't need to be acting like that. I don't care what color you think you are. You don't need to be acting like that because you're making people think I'm like that too. And I'm not like that.
All right.
And for me to give you a pass is for me to say, I think low of you because you're black too. And so I think the way to fix it is accountability and say, hey, you don't need to be acting like this. That's not how you should act. And then stop entertaining and putting money in to things that are promoting a negative thing.